we can't let them get away with it. Why not? It's a thought. Yeah, but it's sick.
QQ wants to know, why is it not a crime to set up a dummy drug deal, but it is to set up a dummy child meetup?
Because, well, interesting.
Priorities.
The law, well, yeah, but also the law says you cannot. Let me go through this. It is against the law for you to aid, abet, counsel, or to conspire, or to offer to buy or offer to sell narcotics to anyone. If you stand there on the corner, Sean Atwood with a sign like Peanuts used to do, say, drugs, $5, that's against the law. Whether anybody takes you up on it, whether somebody comes up, it's against the law. You cannot offer drugs. So somebody set up a dummy deal involves you committing a crime. Now, we get into the notion of, again, here, entrapment. Entrapment is a different story. That's another little... The idea is that we have this statute in our country, and in many states, it says it is against the law to use a computer to elicit, to solicit activity with children using a computer. They don't even talk about the act. It's using the computer. That's what they're upset about. Not that you're doing it, but if I wrote a note instead, you send a letter, is that okay? It's okay. Well, wait a minute. Is it the act or the computer? I don't know. Laws are written so stupid. I had a case one time. It's so stupid. I tell you this story. This poor guy's daughter was crazy and she got in trouble. She was at a parade and got arrested. Anyway, she threw a bottle, and so I looked at the statute that she was charged with. It was this little ordinance. I said, let me just see what it says. It said it's unlawful to throw broken glass. And I said, it wasn't broken when she threw it. I said, this is stupid. They must be making a mistake with this. So I went into court. I said, Your Honor, I know you're going to, this is nothing, but the statute does say broken. She didn't pick up broken glass and throw it. We dismissed it. Who was the idiot who wrote this statute? I don't know. I don't know why. You've got to read it. How is Sean involved in transportation? What? I'm luring you. I'm making a promise. I'm luring you to come and to be a part of my, I'm going to make you a big star if provided you do such as, oh my God, this has been BS and lying since the beginning of time. I'm not saying it's right, but this is against the law. We have in our country here unaccompanied minors, kids that they grabbed from Venezuela, Guatemala, brought them into this country, kids with no names, no record, in villages born, no birth certificates, there's nothing. Grab them, bring them in here. That's transportation. Nobody cares about that. Joe Biden, that idiot, didn't care about that. But we're worried about, did he? Are you kidding me? All of the hours I would have been saying, let me go and prosecute cases where children are involved in absolute transportation. This is, you just want a big scalp. You just want to be able to say, I was the guy who prosecuted Diddy. And I don't like Diddy. I know what he did with Justin Bieber. I feel, I can't prove it, but I don't have to prove things. You know things. When you're a parent, you look at Ziggy, you say, I know exactly what you're doing. I don't have to see it. What am I, stupid? You know what goes on. But what my revulsion is a lot different than what you can prove in court. Now that guy's a sick, but I can't, unless somebody brings a charge, I can't charge Diddy with something that I know he did. What am I, a mind reader?
So both are crimes. UK and US laws are different. In the UK, using a computer is malicious communication, but conspiracy is also a crime, but selling you an OXO cube is not. Confused ?
again, I don't know what this.
And Michael's saying Diddy's got hundreds of victims and we should let him walk free, question mark.
Prove
That's
it.
not what you're saying. You're
No.
saying that this transportation of the ladies of the night stuff is not a very strong case. Is that what you're saying?
No. I would take Michael and say, come on, let's go. Show me where he is. You got the hundreds, just give me two. Just give me two. Forget the hundreds. Two. Let's go. I'm with you. Let's go. Well, I don't know. Okay. You should hear what people. I got to tell you something. What really scares me, and we got to be very careful about this. And let me talk about this. We use this word conspiracy theory. I hate that. I hate that more than you can imagine. Conspiracy deals with our arrangement, not with the subject matter, not whether what we're saying is crazy, not whether evil forces or the deep state or no, it means you and I, if I pick up the phone and say, hey, Atwood, yeah, listen, that thing we were talking about, you still want to do it? Yeah, that's a conspiracy. It's a dry conspiracy. That's it. We're guilty. We're guilty. We are guilty. We didn't even do anything because it's a confederation. It's an agreement. That's all a conspiracy is. That's it. Conspiracy is from the Latin conspirare, to breathe together. We're like one. That's it. It just deals with if I act by myself, I can conspire. There's another thing too. Can I conspire with a cop? Probably not. Because you're going to have two guilty people. Sometimes cops will charge you with a conspiracy. Oh, you were going to be on this too? No, I was. It can't be conspiracy. It's going to be two guilty people. That's what that means. Okay. You and I have been doing this long enough, and you especially, by virtue of your immense popularity. There are people who don't know the difference between suspicion and fact, suspicion and proof, probable cause, and reasonable doubt. They just know, I know he did it. How do you know? I know they got Kennedy. I know the CIA. How do you know? I know this. I know they didn't land on the moon. And they just say it as a matter of absolute, because you are, if you do a show like I do, who wants to listen? Now let's be careful. Alex Jones. Well, I don't know. Maybe it does make frogs effeminate. I don't know. Nobody wants to hear that. But that's the way that works. That's the way that works. So you've got to be careful. We know these things. And then what happens is, and you've seen this, people start getting PO'd. You know what I mean? They get angry. I don't like this guy. Me neither. And we love to hate. Oh, love is boring. Because I hate that guy. Look what they did to Bieber. Look at them. That son of a god. And it's fun. And you take, next thing you know, we want the guy in the electric chair, and so far he may have done something, but we don't know anything. Nothing.
Lionel, you've got a question from a very interesting person that's just come through. Now, Robert Hood was the boss of the federal SuperMax in Colorado.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if you're familiar with his work. He's done a sit down
with his
Sammy,
work.
With Sammy the Bull.
I like your work.
But I would love, Robert, if you would be willing to come on and tell your story to the viewers. I think the viewers would love that. Viewers, would you like the former boss of the federal SuperMax in Colorado to come on and tell his story? And it is amazing. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 2 in the chat if you can bog off. But his question for you, Lionel, is if Diddy were convicted, would you send him to the federal SuperMax in Colorado?
No. I'm not even sure if I would have the SuperMax. I don't even know what the SuperMax is. What do we need it for? What do we need it for?
They got like terrorists. John Gotti was in there. Terrorists. All the like the Unabomber. All of the hardest core criminals.
No, when you say the hardest, the only reason my first concern would be, could they hurt prison personnel?
Yeah,
what must be segregated?
But that's dangerous.
Do you think John Gotti was going to hurt prison personnel? No, it's a.
He could have your family whacked at a blink of an eye.
He could have your family whacked anytime, anyway. So then cut off his ability to speak to people. But what SuperMax is, and what these people are, this is torture. This is absolute torture. This is the idea is that we're going to punish you. No, you've taken him away from society. He's not, don't let him out. Keep him there. Make sure you got to ask yourself, is this necessary? Do you know what makes people the most crazy? What kill? Because you know you're going in, you're killing their soul. You just destroy them. In fact, it's easier sometimes to just put them out of their misery. When you put people and they've never had contact, they never touched anybody, they've never been, it's like you're just killing them. So what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Because they're a terror. Okay, fine. Let's say it's El Chapo. He's there. You don't want him talking. Okay, I've got it. But what?
Yeah, he was there. Chapo is there, I think.
Yeah, he can't go outside. He can't walk around. What is it? Explain to me why he's got to be there. Because he's a terrorist and because, okay, fine. So you don't want him to be able to talk to other people. What we do is we're funny about this. We really love to torture. John Gotti posed absolutely no. Put it this way. You wouldn't want John Gotti as your neighbor. You wouldn't want El Chapo as your neighbor. John Gotti never bothered anybody if you weren't involved in his world. Now, granted, cement prices were up and that sort of thing. These people, yeah, sense of life, yeah, okay. But do you want to torture people? Is that what you want to do? Now, Diddy and Luigi.
That's too much of an open-ended question. If there is a category of people that are so dangerous to society, they will harm other people, and especially if you come into contact with them, special measures have got to be taken. Then that's what SuperMax is for. But Lionel, I think SuperMaxes have been monetized by private prisons to house, to mass incarcerate people in general. Because instead of 60 to 70,000 a year, they get 200, 300,000 a year.
It's called the prison industrial complex.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, listen, here's the deal. If you want it, listen, let's start off. Here's this guy. We're going to call him, boom, Chapo. Great. We don't want Chapo talking to anybody. Because Chapo will order, okay, fine. Can he talk to his lawyer? Yes. Can he talk to a priest or something? Yeah. Okay. Are they okay? All right. I don't have any problem with that. But we're going to keep him in this white room. He's up for 30 hours a day, in the light, and he can't, and we're frying and making him crazy. I mean, he can't look out a window. I mean, do you want to torture him or do you want to keep him away from society? Listen, keeping away from society, absolutely. I do not like the death penalty. If you want to take somebody, Ted Bundy, serial killers, the Yorkshire Ripper, remember all these people? Fine. I've got no problem with that. But what we do is we get medieval. SuperMax. They don't talk to anybody. When was the last time he went out? He's crazy. We make him crazy. There was a guy that we had. His name was Jose. No. Oh, God. He was this guy they held him. They had things in his eyes. I mean, he went, oh, God, what the hell that is? I don't know what the hell that was. As I'm talking about SuperMax, I've got hearts popping up. In any event, do you want to torture people? Well, let me ask you something. Do you think torture is okay? If it's okay, because we have this 8th Amendment against cruel and unusual punishment. Remember, punishment. What you're talking about is making somebody unable to hurt somebody else. And also, with all due respect to our good friend from SuperMax, you're going to ask somebody to put himself out of business to admit, yes, I was a warden. I saw Shawshank Redemption and it was like pouring to me. Yes, I understand. Do you expect somebody to say that? And granted, he's met some terrible people. But look at some of these prisons with the Aryan Nation and all these other people, and Shanks and all this other. Some of these people are so, put it this way, you can't let them out.
The warden has responded. Good answer. Life at SuperMax is worse than death.
Interesting that you say that, Mr. Hood, because most people will say no. It's the weirdest thing. Do you know during the days of concentration camps and death camps, the amount of suicides were, I don't know if I said that, but were self-harm were next to nothing because there's this incredible desire to live. That's why the notion of self-harm is so weird. when somebody talks about this, it goes against the life force. There are people who have this incredible sense of longing for something. And if you went to somebody, you said, "Listen, Chapo, babe, you're not gonna make. You're gonna." I don't care. I have some kind of, and I love when people say, "Don't you understand? They're able to watch cable TV," and and I've heard this before. What about his family? What about those people? What about them? What about they miss their relative, and this guy's sitting there, languishing in the luxury of relieving himself on a aluminum pot for the rest of his life in this room where you don't even walk, where you lose your humanity. I personally would say, do me in. But yet, unless you're in that situation, unless you're there, you don't know what you're going to think. Let me ask you something. Does it bother you for us to become medieval? Does that bother you at all? Do you see anything wrong with a country getting some kind of kicks out of wanting to hurt people and make them suffer? Do you? Because there are people who say, I want to get the guy who took that kid and I want to strike it. And we talk about this. And I understand people are angry. Do you know that in our country, when they had lynchings and they had public executions, they would families would bring their kids, they'd have picnics and watch it. It was bizarre. So who's the sick one here? Who is the sick one? We as a society, when we clamor for this stuff, how about the folks? I don't want to bring up other stuff right now, but when I see people applauding horrors in the Middle East, I'm wondering, what is the matter with you people? And I'm not trying to say I'm the most perfect human being, but I at least intellectually say, retribution is one thing, revenge is another, torture is another. I'm just as bad as they are. I'm just as bad as they are.
Have you read Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil?
Nietzsche, I inspired it.
He said that all the laws that we have on our own society, not harming each other, not R-wording each other, not robbing each other, are reversed when it comes to other countries, other civilizations. We murder, pillage, R-word, loot, ransack, steal the oil, bomb the poorest countries in the world.
Do you remember the great Milgram experiment? Do you remember in 1960? Do you remember the Stanford prison experiment? Do you remember the we are doing this? I have a friend of mine, and I showed her a picture that I had from a certain place called Gaza, and it was a child. And I said, I made it sound as though this was from 1940, someplace else, because the picture was bad and whatever. And I said, I'll tell you what this is about. It's preventing this. Yes, you're right. And people will say, this is the thing that I don't understand. People will tell me, follow this. I am a survivor of my parents who lived through this. And I'm glad that somebody else now has to live through it too, or something like that. I don't even understand what that means. So I held this picture up. I said, look at this. She goes, yep, see what I mean? I said, no, this isn't from what you're talking about. This is from a hospital. Let me tell you something.
We gotta end, Lionel. The next show's starting.
Let's pick up next time. Let me tell you about things that I've seen. I won't go into detail, but I'll tell you the horrors and juries who saw this for the first time and said, oh my God, you don't know what you think you're talking about. And I'll leave it at that, my friend.
All right. Support and subscribe to Lionel's channel. Links are in the description. See you next time, my friend. Take care.
All the best.
Cheerio. Bye-bye. All right, folks. We have got Nick Leeson coming in next. The Rogue Trader. Do you remember the Ewan McGregor movie? This is the trader that broke Queen Elizabeth and George Soros's bank. Yes. It's his first podcast that he's done properly. The movie came out. It was phenomenal. But stay tuned. This video will take you over to the Nick Leeson podcast. It is fascinating. And he ends up in prison, and he's got horrific prison stories as well as hilarious and insane trading stories.